When first opening Tower of Fantasy, you may be wondering, hey, what type of gear should I aim for? What's the type of stats that I'm able to get? When should I start farming for gear? And what is the best optimal way to get gear? Well, today in this Tower of Fantasy video, I'm going to be showing you all those different things and answering all your different questions inside this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, before I go any further, I would like to thank one of my guild members slash Discord members. The name is Beefy. Let me go ahead and open up the Discord, point him out right here. So Beefy right here, he gave me a couple of tips. He said, hey, you know, there's different drop rates for these different gears and things like that. So I would like to thank him for that. And then I'll also like to thank the source of where I'll be getting the picture from, which will also be this source right here, Gaming on Phone. So I would like to thank both of them. I'll also be putting credits for them at the end of the video, so I don't want anyone to think that I got their information and things like that. So when first opening Tower of Fantasy, like I said, you're going to be looking at your gear. You'll simply open up your gear on PC with the letter B. You may be wondering, what's this piece of gear right here? What's this piece of gear? You don't have to worry about that. That gear doesn't come out to 2.0, and not only that, you'll be able to get this from expeditions and world bosses, and you'll also be able to just get this simply from world bosses. So there's no reason to worry about that. It's not in the game. Now you have your helmet, your shoulder, your chest piece, your wristband, which like I'll call it, your belt, your gloves, your pants, and your shoes. Now, what type of stats should you be going for on these different pieces of gear? Well, the type of stats that you'll be going for on these different pieces of gear will depend on what you're trying to build, what type of team comps you're going to run. And I'll go a little bit in that for a little more depth in a little bit. But what is the highest gear that you can get in Tower of Fantasy? Well, it starts off with gray, then it goes to green, then it goes to blue, then it goes to purple, then it goes to gold. Gold is the highest type of rarity you can get inside of Tower of Fantasy. Now, when we look at enchant, right, when we come over to advancement, we also see that this gear, although the last piece of gear, as we all know, there is no mythical gear. Gold is the highest, of course. You can see that it goes all the way up to 5 stars. What happens once I get to 5 stars? Once you have gotten to 5 stars on upgrading your particular piece of gear, that is the farthest you can advance that piece of gear. Meaning that essentially your stats, as you can see right here, I have attack, physical resistance, volt attack, and frost attack can no longer be rolled into. Basically, whenever you upgrade a gear, piece of gear such as this one, by advancement stars, maximum advancement is advancement 5 for a piece of gear. Essentially what happens is it's rolled into one of these stats. If you ever played the game called Genshin Impact, it's a similar system where you'll get a star. Once you get a star, it'll roll into a stat. This piece of weapon or piece of equipment, as it should be called, or gear, have rolled into Volt actually twice, which is what makes this Volt attack way higher than your frost attack, which is where it's going to get a little bit complicated. And this same process is for each piece of gear. You can also do another little thing that I like to point out inside of Tower of Fantasy. In Tower of Fantasy, you have different gears that select to their respective gear piece. Just like the shoulders have the shoulder pieces that can go in there. You also have this green material and this gray material right here, which is what I like to call crystals, that you can also use. Now, in case you're wondering, well, I have a maxed out piece of gear equipment and I like to upgrade another piece of gear equipment. How do I transfer that material over? So just for this video, I'm going to simply show you how to do that. You'll essentially come over to recycle. After you come to recycle, you'll click this. Hold up. Button. I should have hooked up my keyboard, but we're not going to talk about that. This is the wrong thing to click. I think you come to equipment. After you click equipment, then you'll press recycle. So just for this video, I'm going to show you what recycling a piece of equipment does. We're just going to do gray, right? We're going to do gray. We're going to press recycle, and it's going to break down to one of these little gray crystals that you'll be able to use to upgrade your gear. So if you have something maxed out on stars and you want to upgrade to another piece of equipment, you can also do that. The next thing that I would like to quickly touch over is also the fact of, should you be using your gear to upgrade anything besides gold? Absolutely not. The reason why is because you waste advancement experience whenever you do that, because of the fact that you have to transfer all that material back over to the gold. And essentially what happens is you lose experience because of the fact that it doesn't keep all the experience that you use to upgrade this gear. So let's look at this 4-piece of star gear right here. So all the experience that I used to get it to 4 star is not going to be transferred over to the gold piece. Some of that XP that I use to advance it is going to be lost. So you should not be doing stuff like that. And in fact, if you can, if possible, you should hold off on doing that until you get a gold piece of equipment. And a gold piece of equipment you like. You're like, okay, well, this gold piece of equipment, you keep talking about it. How do I get it? Or a couple different ways that you can actually get gold pieces of equipment as of right now inside of the game. One of the different ways that you can get it is by doing joint ops. Joint operations are an operation that costs 90 vitality, and on top of costing 90 vitality is also have drop rates for different pieces of gear. Right now we're at 60, so right now it only drops one piece of gear at a chance. As you can see, it also has the SSR matrix on the side along with purple gear and only dropping blue gear after that. So pretty nice place to get it. There's a second way to also get gold gear inside the game as of right now that I know of, which will be, what's the next thing? Frontier class, which I have 2 of right now, which has a chance to drop you gold equipment. And the last place that I can think of that you'll get a gold piece of equipment is right here, using these gold little orbs that you get from doing Phasm, Bygone Phasm, whatever you want to call it. Or you can either get this by doing Wormhole. Completing Wormhole will also give you this energy crystal dust that is orange. With 1,200 of it, you're able to purchase different pieces of gear. The higher up you get, the more different gear that you'll unlock to equip on your character. So, now that I have said all of that and went over all of that, the next thing is, what is the drop rates for ops? So in order to look at the appropriate drop rates for the different gold gear that you'll get in Frontier Clash, I'll have to simply open up this next tab. Now, as you can see, it's a little small, but with this plus button right here, this zoom in button, and with expanding it, of course, we're going to be able to see the initial drop rate. Now, it's going to be a little bit blurry, but essentially what it's telling you, if you look at this chart, and there's other videos that have better looking charts and things like that, but essentially what it's telling you is the higher level that the chart is. So if you're doing something like Joint Operation 70, it's automatically going to have higher drop rates than if you did 60. So in reality, technically, it's better to wait until level 70 to go ahead and start grinding gold equipment. But even level 60 is a good place to start because of the fact that I think it starts dropping too. If not, it still have a higher rate than all the other ones previously, and it's still a good point to start getting gold gear and start re-rolling for it and things like that. But if you look closely, or even if you cannot look closely, you can see the first chest has the lowest percent to drop the actual gold gear, with the second coming in middle place, and the final chest, which is what you'll get after killing the boss, and you'll also get a green chest on the side, has the highest percent drop rate. Now, something interesting you can also use, which is something that I use a lot, is joint supply chips, which essentially doubles your chance of getting master equipment whenever, you know, you're running a joint operation. So it doubles your chances from what I heard. So you also want to make sure that you're always using joint supply chips whenever you're running a joint operation. You're opening chests, trying to get that gold, juicy, crispy piece of gear. So let's go ahead and go over to the next thing. What is the best type of stacks that you can get depending on your character? So this game is a little weird when it comes to healers. As you can see, my healing scales off my attack. That has attack percentage right there. 25% attack, restore 50 charge. Base health grow right there. More things that scale off attack. So essentially the way healing scale off of is attack as far as I know. And the way it heals is just like in generally is really well. So the higher your base attack or the higher your attack is in general for your stat, the more healing you get essentially. So you cannot be a healer with low attack. That is what I'm telling you. The next best stack, according to Beefy, which is a member inside my Discord, is HP. One of the best stats for a tank is an HP stack because of the fact that you get more health, and on top of that, it allows you to take more hits. And for some of the weapons, I think some of the attack actually scales off of HP, which is really interesting. I don't know how true that is, but I'm going to go ahead and trust his word on that. And then just for simply attack weapons or comps, you want to be running that respective element. So to go farther into what I mean, we're going to go ahead and click B to reopen this gear tab. We're going to look right here at this little chest piece. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to look at a better piece. Actually, no, this chest piece is really good to look at. So, as you can see right here, click over to advancement. And for a chance, whenever you do a chance, it transfers over to the next gear. So, you can enchant as much as you like. So, when we look at advancement, Move over, please. So when we look at the stats for the gold piece of equipment, you're going to have a maximum of 4 different stats. You might get something like a resistance to a specific element. You might just get resistance in general, which resistance in general is not bad because it's not aligned with a specific element. And then on top of that, you'll get base attack like how I have right here, and you'll get some type of elemental attack. Now this changes, and you also have a chance to get crit too, I think. Crit, let's see. One of my pieces have crit. My game is being a little bit laggy today. My mouse is being dog crap. But we're not going to worry about that. Click on the glove piece. Yeah, you have a chance to also get crit, which essentially, in a sense, to put it as the easiest simplified way, there's a chance for you to get crit rate, right? But the best thing that I would like for you to know is whenever you're getting a piece of gear that have a stat that is completely useful for you, you want to trade that gear in for another piece of gear of its type. So remember that. You want to farm a ton of gold gear and then look at all that gold gear on display. See which one has the best stats. Equip it. Then start upgrading it. Don't do what I have done right here, which is really bad and a really waste of resources. Unless you really care about your CS, then do what I did, which is upgrade regardless. But yes, you want to be farming multiple gold gears, farming multiple copies, looking at the best one with the best stats for your character, and then picking that piece of equipment. And if you're running an ice comp, the best stats for you to actually run will be something like attack, maybe HP if you're using Merle, and then on top of HP, maybe have something like crit, and then frost attack if you're running the frost comp. You never want your piece of gear to say something like, if you're not running any physical, you never want it to say, well, physical attack, because essentially what happens to that stat is becoming useless. Now, another little tip that I would like to take over from CN that is not on a lot of these guides and videos that I see is they're going to have something called a stat roller. It's going to be a stat sucker, stat roller. So essentially it's going to be this blue little compass piece. Now I don't have a picture of it, but maybe I'll send it inside my Discord so people can see it. I have it on CN or whatever. But it's basically like a stat locker. So essentially what this stat locker does is whenever you click enchant or something like that, you can click advancement right here. And the next time when you advance your piece of material, I mean, not your piece of material, well, technically material, but gear. Next time when you stat it, what you do is you select the stat, right? And after you select that stat, what's going to happen is 2 things. And this is the first thing that I'm assuming because I have checked it and tested it. The other thing's possible, but this is what usually happens, is the fact that it locks that stat. And when you lock that stat, next time when you upgrade it, it has a chance to upgrade into these other stats. So to give an example, if I was to click frost attack and then like lock it, it'll have a chance to upgrade these 3, which gives me a 33% chance to roll into another stat instead of a 25% chance to roll into another stat. Now it could fail, which have happened a lot to me. You'll probably have to end up getting a new piece of gear. But if you get a really good piece of gear and you're doing that, then for the most part, it should be fine. So, to go over a quick little summary of everything, when playing Tower Fantasy, you want to be doing joint operations at level 60 or higher. You want to make sure to always use your little joint things right here, which you can see at the bottom in case you didn't know. You want to make sure that you're not upgrading your purple equipments, giving it advancements or whatever. You want to make sure that you're collecting multiple gold pieces and looking at the best stats for your respective, whether you're attack or healer or even just a tank. You want to be looking at your respective stats and things like that. And you just don't want to be wasting resources, and you just want to make sure to use a vitality and log in and do your weeklies. Now this little stat locker that I am talking about is going to be introduced into weeklies, if I'm not 100% sure, either 1.5 or 2.0. So do keep that in mind. And one last little tip that I would like to go over in case you're looking for ways to upgrade your gear. On side of my map, I've been marking it since like day 1. If it was to teleport to one of these areas, you'll see these little ice chunks, volt chunks, fire chunks. I think you guys have seen them before. But essentially what you want to be doing is looking for these different respective chunks. You want to break it. It's going to give you different respective elemental chunks for your weapon to upgrade it, and then on top of that it's going to drop these crystals which you can also use to upgrade your gear. But that's pretty much it for this, guys. So if you guys did like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.